Okay, let's talk about one of the biggest hurdles for anyone learning English. How in the world are you supposed to get fluent when you have no one to practice with? Well, today we're going to break down a complete toolkit for some seriously high-impact solo practice. Does it sound familiar? You've been studying the grammar, you know a ton of vocabulary, but the second you try to speak, you just freeze. It's a super common frustration. But what if I told you that practicing all by yourself isn't actually a disadvantage? And that, right there, is the key idea. Think about it. A practice partner who's maybe not so motivated, or corrects every tiny mistake, or just isn't a good fit, they can actually slow you down. When you practice solo, you're in the driver's seat. So what's the big advantage of going solo? It's one word: control. Total control. You get to pick the topic, you set the pace, you decide exactly what you want to work on. There's zero pressure and absolutely no judgment. It's like having your own personal language lab. So where do we even begin? Well, first things first, let's focus on the sound of English. It's not just about saying the right words, it's about saying them with the right flow, the right rhythm, the right intonation. You know, the music of the language. The number one most powerful tool for this is something called shadowing. Now, this isn't just listening and repeating, it's about becoming an exact mirror. You copy every single detail of how a native speaker talks. And the process couldn't be simpler. You just listen to a short audio clip, hit pause, and then repeat it, trying to match the original perfectly. And hey, once you get the hang of that, you can try the advanced level, speaking at the exact same time as the recording. It's a real challenge. Now, here's why this is so crucial. Shadowing is a physical workout. It literally trains your mouth, your tongue, and your jaw to make English sounds the right way. This is how you go from just knowing a word to actually saying it like you've been speaking English your whole life. And hey, if you want a more fun way to do this, just sing. Seriously, singing along to your favorite English songs naturally teaches you the rhythm and flow because it forces you to connect words together smoothly. It's exactly what native speakers do in fast conversations. Okay, so once you start getting comfortable with the sounds, it's time to build up your speed and your confidence. I want you to think of this next technique as a high-intensity workout, but for your brain. It's called the 4-3-2 fluency technique, and its goal is pretty simple. It's designed to force your brain to speak more efficiently, more automatically, by putting you under just a little bit of time pressure. Here's how it works. You pick any simple topic, say your last vacation, and you talk about it for 4 minutes straight. Then you talk about the same exact thing, but you only have 3 minutes. And finally, you guessed it, you squeeze that whole story into a final, super compact 2-minute version. And the result is what's so cool. By that third time through, you literally don't have time for filler words like or ah. Your brain has already figured out the most important parts of your message, so the words just flow out way more smoothly, and you sound so much more confident. Awesome. So you've got the sound down, you're building up speed. Now, let's figure out how to practice for the real world. You know, for those unpredictable conversations where you have to think on your feet. You know one of the biggest problems with practicing alone? You just run out of things to talk about. The solution is easy. Stop trying to think of a topic with your brain and start looking for one with your eyes. Visual prompts are an amazing way to do this. So you can see here there are basically 2 levels to this. You can start easy at level 1 and just describe what you see. But the real magic, the real practice, happens at level 2. That's where you start to speculate, to make up a story. This forces you to use more interesting vocabulary and grammar on the spot. Now here's a big question. How do you know if you're actually getting better or if you're just repeating the same mistakes? Well, you need feedback. And when you're by yourself, your best, most honest coach is right there in your pocket, your phone's microphone. It never lies. The process is this simple little 3-step loop. First, record yourself answering a question. Then, listen back to it carefully. Be a detective. Hunt for those little errors in your grammar or pronunciation. And finally, and this is the most important part, re-record your answer, but this time fix those mistakes. But what about that back and forth interactive practice? If you don't have a person to talk to, use a digital one. Seriously, modern AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini have these incredible voice conversation features that can feel just like talking to a real person. Now here's the key. Give the AI a job to do. Don't just have a random chat. Turn it into a real-life scenario. Tell it to pretend it's an immigration officer, or a difficult customer, or a job interviewer. This lets you practice high-pressure situations without any of the real-world fear. All right, so we've covered a lot. We've got techniques for your pronunciation, for your speed, for creativity, and for self-correction. Let's pull all of this together now into a complete toolkit that you can use to build your own perfect practice plan. Just think of this table as your personal cheat sheet. If your goal today is to improve your pronunciation, boom, spend 10 minutes shadowing. If you need to speak faster, do a 4-3-2 drill. Want to work on your grammar? 5 minutes of recording and critiquing. And if you want to get ready for the real world, jump into an AI roleplay. You can mix and match these every single day, depending on what you feel like you need. So you see, becoming fluent isn't really about finding the perfect practice partner. It's about having the right tools and being consistent. You now have a full toolkit for powerful, effective solo practice. So the only question left is, which tool are you going to pick up and use first?